Let's talk about Draymond Green though. Is he DPOY to you?
You know what's funny? I was on February 2nd. Was it February 2nd? It was during the All-Star break. We was talking about this earlier, and I looked up the ballot like for the betting favorites, and he wasn't even on there. Like out of the first 1 through 8 names,
they showed it in January. He was at minus 12,000.
He was so. It might have been plus.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, plus like he was so far down the list. I think this when Wemby just got ruled out for the year. And then he just made a couple comments. But also, listen, Draymond Green, I've been watching him all year. He's been great defensively. There's no denying that. Defensive player of the year, well, you factor in that, then Jaren got hurt. Then Evan Mobley and the Cavs, they've been kind of like slumping on defense for the last month. Draymond's kind of had some games that shot him up. You know, specifically the game against the Bucks and Giannis, where he guarded Giannis really well. That game kind of really propelled him up. Then he went on his podcast. When you factor in all that, because it was at a point where it was really Jaren or Evan Mobley to lose it, and they kind of lost it in a sense. Like Dyson, respected Dyson, but they not really. It's going to be hard for them to give guards that responsibility, especially with the way he's been playing and stuff like that. Especially with the way the Hawks defense just is. But Draymond Green, I think, I want Mobley or Jaren to win it. If Draymond wins it, I won't hate it. Does he deserve it? I feel like it's disrespectful for me to say no because I've watched him be great on that end all year. I've watched him break up. Like, he is really one of the few guys in the league that can literally break up plays. Like, he's like a safety out there. And him being so short and him being undersized and him just being so smart, it's so crazy. So I feel like saying he don't deserve it, it'd be a slight. But I think out of those three guys, I don't mind either one of them winning it. I know you're going to bring up Zubac, so I'll let that be for you because I feel like he also is a guy that's been great this year. So I'll let you, give him his flowers. But
you were right about Zubac this year as well.
I don't mind. Bang, bitch. I don't mind Draymond winning it, but
I give credit.
It's odd the way it's been. Like you were plus like 14,000 like 2 months ago or a month ago, whatever it was, and then bada boom, bada bing, you're now all of a sudden the favorite. So, but like I said, Evan Mobley, Cavs been slumping. Jaren Jackson, he got hurt. They haven't been the same. And then Wemby get hurt.
I feel like Draymond was always in the discussion. I just think that the Warriors were so irrelevant that nobody bothered to put him in the discussion. But based on his play on the court, he was always there. Like, you look at the numbers. I think the numbers back it up. He's third in defensive EPM, only behind Caruso and Wemby. Think Wemby would have been the runaway defensive player of the year had he stayed healthy. Warriors are 7th in defensive rating. Draymond is 6th in contested shots per game, and the opponents shoot 4.8% worse when he's guarding them, and he's 7th in most charges drawn. He's been anchoring the Warriors' defense all year long. Their hot start is primarily because of their hot offensive shooting and Steph playing at a high level, but also their defense. I feel like a couple players deserve a shout out in this, and I don't agree with Draymond being the overwhelming favorite.
Was he like minus 125?
Yeah, he's probably going to win it at this point. But you look at Amen Thompson. He's 4th in defensive EPM at 2.7. The Rockets are 4th in defensive rating, a better defense than the Warriors. And opponents shoot 5.8% worse when he's guarding them. And he's the best player on one of the best defensive teams in basketball. Zubac is 10th in defensive EPM. The Clippers are 2nd in defensive rating. Chris Dunn also has a large role in that. And he's 7th in contested shots per game at 10 per game. And opponents shoot 3.5% worse. You look at the other top defenses. At this point, Rudy Gobert doesn't get acknowledgement because he's won so many awards. But the Timberwolves are 6th in defensive rating. And Gobert is 5th in defensive EPM and 4th in contests. He's one of the better contested defenders in the league. He contests a ton of shots.
Order fatigue for him.
And then look at the Cavaliers are 9th in defensive rating. Evan Mobley, 20th in defensive EPM, 5th in most contested shots per game. So a lot of these candidates are pretty close is the main takeaway that I had. And to me, I just want the NBA to have 3 defensive teams. I think they have 3 All-NBA teams. You should have 3 defensive teams. The rookie teams is fine keeping it at 2 because sometimes 10 rookies, good ones, is kind of all you're going to get.
Yeah.
But looking at the defensive teams, I was doing mine. And Amen Thompson, Lou Dort, Dyson Daniels, Evan Mobley, Draymond Green have to be on it. Then my second team, I'd go OG Anunoby, Caruso, Bam, Gobert, and Zubac. And I'm leaving guys out like Kamara, Chris Dunn, J-Dub, Isaiah Stewart.
I don't think he's going to be qualified.
Yeah, Asor Thompson, Jonathan Isaac, Hartenstein, even SGA. I think
Hartenstein got robbed.
Yeah,
with the same
SGA
shit, no
on
65.
a down
I think
year.
also Asar is not going to be qualified.
On a down year, I think SGA would be a defensive player. Like he would be on a defensive team. You know, being on the first ranked defense MVP, being one of the league leaders in steals, and he's averaging a block for a guard. I think in a normal year where there's not so many candidates, he'd be in the conversation. But I think it's about time we add a third team. There's too many great defensive players to snub some guys. Like OG Anunoby might not make it. I think that's crazy. I think Tumani Kamara might not make it. I think that's crazy.
I think it'll happen. You know, we've added defensive player of the months, so I think eventually they'll start to add all that stuff. I do think defense. I honestly like. I think the defensive award. I think the all teamers really gravitate towards the big men. So I do think it's unfortunate that I think we should have we should have a big man team and a guard team really to give them more love, because I feel like it really gravitates. We could get about 7 bigs on the defensive teams, and it's unfortunate, but it's truthful, because like that's the most impactful defense. You know, the big man defense.
My defensive player of the year is going to be Draymond Green. I think that over the stretch of the last, I guess, the calendar year 2025, we haven't seen the Cavaliers be this overwhelmingly great defense like they were in the beginning of the season. If Isaiah Hartenstein would have met the requirement for 65 games, I think that he has a seat at this table. I think that he's been the most consistent defender for them while he has been on the court, of course, anchoring that defense as a big man, how great he has been rebounding the basketball as a rim protector. I think that he's been excellent. Unfortunately, he's not going to meet the requirements. Jaren Jackson, I think, would have met that, or I think Jaren Jackson has a strong case for this as well. I just think that we're starting to see them fall off and the Golden State Warriors start to ascend, which is why Draymond Green is getting the push that he is. I think that it's okay, truthfully. I think we're not talking about an average defender. We're not talking about an above average defender. No, we're talking about one of the best defenders this game's ever seen. This isn't a sympathy award for him. He's an amazing defensive player. He's a legend to the game. Whether you like him or not, that shouldn't persuade you from the idea of what he has been, what he has done for the Golden State Warriors defense. We've seen that for the entirety of his career, but you go back in time to that 2022 championship, you look at how great they were defensively with him. He leaves, they fall off a cliff. He comes back. They're back to being the number one defense in the league. It speaks to how essential he is to them. And even this late into his career, yeah, Jimmy Butler is a huge part as to why we've seen a complete turnaround in the Golden State Warriors' success. But where it all begins on the defensive side will always be Draymond Green. So yeah, I have no issues with this. Sympathy is ridiculous. If we're talking about a guy who is finally breaking onto the scene, then maybe, but that has not been Draymond Green. I think you made an excellent argument for Amen Thompson. I think he has a definite strong case to be in this conversation, but being the center focal point of a defense, I think that's the separator between the two. And I think that's why you lean Draymond Green. But Amen most definitely has a seat at this table.
I wish I was there looking at the odds jump when he did a press tour. I would have jumped on it. I wasn't able to.
Someone's
going to be rich.
Somebody took that 14,000 odds.
Really?
Like, let me put $50 on this.
They're gonna retire tomorrow.
Yes, that shit's crazy. Honestly, it needs to be a study on that, because with all due respect, shout out to Draymond, but this definitely, he has some hand in it, man, because there ain't no way you go from plus 14,000 and now you minus 125. And like, even if you can't sell me on people don't watch Golden State. Like, you can't sell me on that. 100%. They have Steph Curry. They have if not the most, one of the most viewed games all year. Like, the most televised games all year. So you're not gonna view me or sell me on this shit that people not watching Draymond Green.
Lies.
Like, it's his cap. So clearly in January, February, y'all wasn't feeling it. He went on his podcast, which has a good amount of following. Draymond has a good amount of power. Said some stuff, went out there, performed well, and they were like, all right, look at his numbers. Wait a minute.
Kind of goes to where you were at. The Warriors weren't good. Why would he have any chance to win Defensive Player of the Year? They're great now. Why is that? Steph Curry's here. He's back. Jimmy Butler is a big part of being a great counterpart to Steph Curry. And Draymond Green's the best defender in the world. There's a correlation.